I call Todd Barclay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's a privilege to carry on the second phase of Team South, and I can quite proudly say that I've got an orange shirt, and it was fully thanks to my mother joining workforce as soon as she could following my easy birth, I could imagine, Mr. Speaker. It is a pleasure to speak on this budget for a number of reasons, because firstly, after this couple of speeches I've heard so far tonight from the opposition, it is clear that they're not fit for government. They're not even fit for opposition, given they clearly haven't read major aspects of this budget. They've talked about regional New Zealand not getting a look in. We can say, and we've heard from Sarah Dowie tonight, that Southland produces 15% has experienced 15% growth over the last year. It's one of the largest growth rates in the country, and we've got one of the lowest unemployment rates at 3.1%. And the member over there for Dunedin South as well, speaking about ICT and ultra-fast broadband. These services are being rolled out continuously throughout New Zealand, and regional New Zealand, whether it be through UFB or RBI, are getting great gains through the initiatives being driven by this government. But what I wanted to talk about tonight, Mr. Speaker, were the system of government reforms, and it's been touched on by Paula Bennett tonight because she's one of the main architects of this, along with the Honourable Bill English and Prime Minister John Key, because they're fundamentally some of the biggest things that don't get enough attention, I don't think, that this government's done that are going to make systemic changes going forward. And I hope that one day, unfortunately, when there is a future Labor government, some of these changes that we've put in place through the Better Public Services frameworks will actually stay in place and help protect against frivolous spending and anti-programs that are simply not benefiting New Zealanders, Mr. Speaker. So what we've done through these reforms is, for far too long, they've been focused on increasing spending for government departments for the sake of increasing spending for government departments, where this government is focusing on individuals and they're focusing on people that need the investment the most. So what we've seen, Mr. Speaker, through the work of Paula Bennett and Bill English, and now the Honourable Anne Tolley in the social welfare space, is they've identified some of the largest cost drivers within the social welfare space. And I want to touch on two of these groups, Mr. Speaker. First is I want to touch on the teen sole parents, Mr. Speaker. We know that since we've come into government, we've reduced this number by almost 50% to a level of about 2,600, Mr. Speaker, now. We know that the average expectancy that a teen sole parent will spend on a benefit is 20 years at a cost of around $250,000 each over their lifetime on a benefit. But if they have a qualification, their time on a benefit automatically reduces by 20 years to 7 years. So as part of Budget 2016, what was announced last week, Mr. Speaker, is from 4th of April 2016, the childcare assistance rate will increase from $4 to $5 an hour for low-income families. This doesn't sound like a lot of money, Mr. Speaker, but for these families it is. It is a significant amount of money over a long period of time. And this helps lower-income parents get access to affordable childcare, support them in employment, education and training. And the benefit risks for first-time the benefit rates have increased as well, Mr. Speaker, for the first time in 43 years for the real value. And for the opposition party to say this is absolutely nothing and it's not making an impact is incredibly hilarious, actually, given they're meant to be the party that looks out for the most vulnerable New Zealanders, or they're the self-proclaimed party that does that. It's the national-led government that has made some fundamental changes affecting some of the most vulnerable New Zealanders. And just a snapshot going back to teen sole parents, Mr. Speaker, in my electorate alone, we've got 185 teen sole parents in Gore, 168 in the Clutha district and 98 in Queenstown. These are real people that will experience real benefits from the change that this government's put in place, Mr. Speaker. The next portion of high cost drivers, Mr. Speaker, and it relates directly to my electorate as well, children in care. We know that these members of society are hugely disproportionate cost drivers. And within this group, we know that there are a group of 2,000 kids where, based on 30 years' worth of records, their future prison costs will be $750 million. Budget 2016 appropriates almost $60 million to help at-risk children through new operational funding and capital grants to Child, Youth and Family for their children's teams, Mr. Speaker. In Balclutha, we've got 12 children that are in care, and in Gore, we've got 19, and we've got a number of other kids across other parts of the electorate as well. But we know, and including in one of these groups, we've got one kid who's 12 years old who has had 95 foster families. That is utterly outrageous, and it's not something that this government wants to see continuing. And that's why these changes, I wholeheartedly believe, will make an impact on real New Zealanders. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.